Hello, this is my review on Terminator Salvation from 2009, and I don't think I hate this movie, actually. I'm rethinking my thoughts on it. I think I kind of like this movie. I just don't love it, okay? Like I did with the first three. So I have mixed feelings for it, so that's why I give it a 5 out of 10. And, I'm also going to review Terminator Genisys in the same video. And I give that 5 out of 10 also. I like both movies, but I don't love both movies like I feel like I should. You know, it's like, so let's talk about, Salvation first. Then I'll talk about Genisys. And, I say Salvation is pretty cool, to see Christian Bale's young man, John Connor. And I think, forget what he's given was, he doesn't have as much screen time as he should have. Because he's the main person that they get credit to as the main character. I felt like the guy that's revealed to be the Terminator, that he thinks that he was a human the entire time, got more screen time. At least in the theatrical cut. I'm going to review the director's cut some other time in a separate video, though, okay? So in this kind of film, I feel like John Connor was really underused. It was Christian Bale being John Connor. And to the point he got overshadowed by the Terminator once again. Through screen time and character development. So, also having more personality than John in this movie. Cut of the film, okay? And I do like how this whole is you see that apocalyptic wasteland that was building up for the first three movies see out now finally play out. So that's nice. And that's all I gotta say about this movie. My biggest one, I give this a 5 out of 10. This film feels like very short, given how ambitious it feels, like a vision. It feels, and it feels like it's kind of not so well executed. And I think a big part of that is because the runtime. It feels like it feels like this one movie that would cut short, but not because it was a bad movie, but because the needed more people to see the movie by the studios. It is. I guess that's the end of what happened, because they came with the director's cut, and I think actually that the theatrical cut's a PG-13 and the director's cut's are R-rated, if I remember correctly. So I'm gonna check that later. Yeah. So now let's go on to Genisys. Genisys is basically, well, I could be wrong, but I always saw Genisys as what if. I could be wrong, but maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but I always saw Genisys like not as part of the main franchise. I actually think the main franchise ended with Terminator 3, the main timeline. I am pretty sure it's like, this isn't how the content but just basically judging based off the content in both movies, Salvation and Genisys, they all feel like what if timelines if the main timeline did continue that was starting in Terminator 1 through Terminator 3 Salvation. And that's this, I guess that's where Salvation kind of lost my I guess I think that's why I kind of lost another reason why I kind of lost my investment in Salvation. I was kind of hoping it was being going continuation of the third one, but it felt like a what if run of a timeline. So this could probably be the prequel to the first Terminator movie before they changed the timeline, and before they thought they changed. Well, found out they didn't really exactly change. They kind of delayed the timeline for Judgment Day to have by altering the timeline and Rise of Machines. So this could be the original timeline that took place before Terminator 1 called The Terminator. Where before they even figure out the whole time travel stuff and stuff. And so I guess in that respect it may actually does take place in the meantime, but or it may not. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, 100% sure. I mean, I was more clear when I saw the director's cut on what timeline this takes place in. If it's a what if timeline like Genisys, or is it more like the main timeline like the first three? And if I remember correctly, once I saw the director's cut, it made more clear that was somewhere within a prequel. It was a prequel like within the main timeline of the first three. If I remember correctly, I have to see the director's cut again, okay? But the director's cut adds some more light on it, on the problem with that I have with the movie. So yeah, Genisys is just a straight up the third what if scenario that you can just know that doesn't take place at all in the timeline, because it feels like you can just tell that you saw the trailer, and it's about as convoluted as you expect based off the trailer. It's one of those movies, and I think that's enough said. So that's Genisys. It's a convoluted mindfuck of what if scenario. What if this happened? What if a bunch of what if ideas came into place for the Terminator franchise, but happen in a what if scenario? What if when those stories we know went this way instead of the way we know them to be? It's what if. It's a whole what if story that doesn't really have, well, that has very little point to the what if scenario. I'm trying to say it feels a little half baked. Of idea and important terms of execution. So that's why that gets a 5 out of 10. Subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And goodbye.